podcast with R&R.
Hello and welcome back to the podcast with R&R. Today we've got another podcast special, which means we'll be joined by Anna and Steve, and the four of us will debate what is whatever the monthly issue on ANW is, because the theme for the month this month is actually sport and health. And we see health coming up an awful lot in a lot of the themes because it's a vitally important aspect of the life of a naturist. And so with that in mind, let's jump over to the podcast and let's have a listen to see what Anna and Steve think. Hi Anna, hi Steve, welcome back to the podcast.
Hello, thank you for having us.
Hi.
So it's Naturist Sport and Health Day, or at least that's the theme for this month. So
yes, day itself was
7th of April.
Is it the 7th?
yeah, it's difficult, isn't it, when they're early in the month? Because you get prepared and then you've got like a week to get everything up.
Yeah, which is why we sort of started mentioning that it's, the gardening day is coming up on the 3rd, because it's obviously like as soon as the newsletter goes out, there's only a couple of days, until the next one. So
Well, that's like us, because I'm working on the blog for the end of the month, which is going to embrace some of that while embracing health and sport. So
I was just seeing when the end of the month is. I don't even know what date we're on today.
7 days away. It's a week away.
Okay.
It's a week away. So we've got that to sort.
Mm.
But never mind. Okay, nature sport's a bit of a difficult subject, really, when you think about it, because unless you actually go to a naturist event, there's not many places where you can do sport naked. Because you can't run around playing football. Well, you can on a beach, but not in your local vicinity. Tennis. I'd love to play tennis naked.
Snooker.
Or darts. Yeah, I mean, they're sports.
yeah, I suppose on beaches. I mean, we played a lot of different sports, haven't we? I mean, we played cricket. Yeah. The boys were playing cricket on the beach when we went to Volt, weren't they?
Yeah.
Lost the ball into the rocks. But yeah,
we had a game of football as well, if I remember rightly, which I abstained from because I was particularly poorly at the time.
And I don't do sports, so
Yeah, no, you don't.
I'm a cheerleader type. I'll sit down and go, yay, yay, go, go.
Get your pom-poms.
and of course swimming.
Yeah. Frisbee.
Oh well, on beaches.
Yeah. Tag.
Yeah.
Duck.
Tag should be an Olympic sport.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be great, wouldn't it? I mean, the only time I've ever seen anything remotely like it was Monty Python, who used to do the Mad Olympics or something like that.
Oh god, I remember. What was that sketch with the? They were supposed to be sort of like rich kids, but rich young adults that did things like one of the events was waking up the neighbours when they parked the car.
Yeah. Didn't one of them run over themselves, or was that the idiot one where they were trying to?
They had to shoot themselves at the end. Yeah.
We should restage all that.
And one of them kept missing.
That would be hilarious, wouldn't it? Come up with some sort of crazy idea for like games, really stupid games at a naturist event. That'd be brilliant.
Yeah. And the thing, really, sport's got a long history of nudity, hasn't it? I mean, with the Olympics and stuff, so it seems only right, doesn't it, that we should have our own naturist games.
Was it the Olympics that they had in Brazil? And the week after, did they do a big Olympics at Rio or somewhere like that? I'm sure it's gone back a few years now.
Yeah, I think they did. Yeah.
Well, the week after, on the famous Copacabana beach, they actually recreated a naked Olympics.
Ah, yes.
And they
about that.
I've never been able to get footage of it or see any images of it. But I must admit, I would love to have attended that. I mean, you got like white sand, warm weather, and then all these lanes marked out, and actual athletes. These were proper athletes. Some of them Olympic athletes who joined in, and yeah, they were naked, and they were doing all the same events for medals and stuff, but as a tribute to Athens. And I just thought, why can't we do that at every single Olympics? Because we have the Disability Olympics afterwards. Well, in between, why don't we have a Naturist Olympics and get everybody, to join in? I mean, what a great way of getting normalizing nudity out there.
Right.
Can you imagine that?
You're going to run?
But I'm not doing it. Me run? I didn't run at school.
We'll make it a category. The dad run.
Oh God, I used to be the 1600 meters record holder at school. I was the cross country record holder at school, and I was also the long jump record holder, because I actually did a long jump and cleared the pit. I landed on the grass on the other side of it. Yeah, I used to be like Tigger when I was a kid. I was like a spring.
Mine was the javelin, the long jump, and anything throwing, really.
Yeah, that's about right for you. I used to be super fit, super healthy. You wouldn't think it looking at me today.
I've never been super fit or super
healthy. I was into everything. I was a member of the British Bungee Jumping Association. I've jumped off bridges and cranes and all sorts of things.
They're just all crazy people.
No, it's great
your
fun.
life to a piece of elastic.
It's great fun. So it's a proven science. I'd love to do that naked.
New Zealand?
Yeah. But well, funnily enough, I mean, I don't know if I've told this story before, but I did some bungee jumping. I did bungee jumping, about a bungee jump. No. I mean, I wouldn't have dared at the time anyway. I was such a fraidy cat then. But I can't think what the company was called now. But when they first started it was the first sort of like paying bungee jumping experience in the world, I think. And it was off a bridge in Christchurch, New Zealand, and they couldn't get people to take part. They couldn't get they just weren't getting people paying for it. So they introduced this thing to get sort of like some publicity, and also to get people doing it, where if you did it naked, you could do it for free. And so, and that really grabbed the attention of the media, and it got people going and doing it. And then after that, sort of like, the ball was rolling, and it just kick-started it happening in other places as well. But the place where I did it, what was actually bungee jumping nude a year or so earlier. But they weren't still doing that when I went. But I don't think I mean at that point. I was fascinated by naturism, and wished I could be a naturist, but I was far too scared to try it at that point. But it would be cool, yeah, going and doing a naturist bungee jump. And at that point as well, they let you into the river. You actually went into the river, and they stopped that as well sometime afterwards because of I think they feared that there was a fear about people maybe sort of like they had to judge it really well to make sure people didn't break their their eyeballs or whatever, the water pressure. But at that time, you had a choice. Do you want to go into the water or not? And I chose to go into the water. And wouldn't that have been cool to die from such a huge height, naked, and end up going into the water?
Going into the water and coming out again, yeah. See, I loved it. But the only reason I stopped is because my insurance company found out. My life insurance company found out that I was bungee jumping, and they told me that if I didn't stop, it would invalidate the policy I had. And I'd lose all the money I'd paid in for years. So basically, I stopped doing it for that reason. And then I went parachuting. You know, which is like jumping without the rope. And I did that, and I did some skydiving, and that was terrifying, but I loved it because it's a different. I don't like height, but it's a different kind of height, and you overcome your fear. And it's the same with rock climbing. I was never afraid of rock climbing, but you stand me on the edge of a cliff and without a rope, and I look over, it terrifies me. It's crazy.
That's a lie.
But I love.
He was not terrified when he was looking over the cliffs at Tintagel. You're like, oh, come over here and have a look at this. I'm like, nope, I'm going to zoom in 50 times and take a picture of you from all the way over here, safe in the middle of the island.
Well, that's when I was showing Iona and Alfie. We went no, because it was only a little drop, and then it kind of bumped out a bit. So if I'd have fell off, I'd only fallen about 6 feet. So I was okay with that.
Take your word for it. I didn't get that close to check.
Yeah, you go to Scotland, and there's some pretty, or Wales. There's some pretty steep drops in Wales, and they rattle your stomach twists.
There's some in Bredbury as well.
But I've always thought that it's wise to be scared, because it's a survival tool when you're climbing. And again, I'd love to climb naked. I've seen images of naked mountain climbers, and I would love to do that. I'm just getting a bit old and stiff. I'm not as bendy as I used to be.
Do a sport that keeps you on the ground.
Well, I do. I do archery.
This is true. We do archery.
Practice the arm. Some men lift pints. I pull bowstrings. But it's a shame that we can't get more nudity into sport, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's certainly it's such a big part of like if you're part of if you're part of a club or you go to a venue, whatever. I mean like when we went away with the boys, to France last August, there was such a lot of naked sporting experiences that could be had, wasn't there? They were playing football and mini golf and cycling and climbing and different racket sports and netball and stuff. And it is something that's so enjoyable. It's such an enjoyable thing to do, and I think that's why. I think that's why it's such a big part of the club experience, isn't it? And it has been so for right the way from the start. This idea of going off, being in the countryside, playing, a sport. It's really nice. So it is a shame that you can't just maybe that clubs don't that sporting venues like your local sports centre doesn't do. Like you go to a nature swim, but it's organised, isn't it? Someone's organised that happening, and isn't it a shame that the sporting venues themselves, the swimming baths and the sports and venues themselves, don't just set up some sessions without other people coming and doing it, but actually just saying, look, we're going to have a session every week, where you can go swimming or use the gym or whatever as naturists.
I mean, I think, as you know, I've said it many, many times, I think that naturism needs to urbanise more, and there needs to be a lot more indoor naturism, and that, I think, a recreation centre is the perfect venue. I mean, I would, again, playing squash, playing tennis, volleyball, badminton. I mean, you can do these big sports complexes, but they're just so ridiculously expensive to hire. When we was working with NWNS, I looked at that, and I looked at several places because I did think, to be honest, if we could have pulled that event off, that would have been a really, really popular event. I think it would have pulled a lot of people in, even if it's just one whole day where we booked the entire place and allowed people to do all the types of sport they wanted to naked. I think that would have been an amazing event. But the prices that they're asking, phenomenal, and you'd have to charge a horrendous amount of money, and I just think that outprices naturism, and it's a shame. But I also think that modern naturist clubs, they need to improve their facilities. I think it's again another reason why the young don't want to get involved with clubs. What is there for them to do? They don't understand Miniton. They don't want to really, what's it called, bools. They don't want to play bools. And if you put an outdoor pinball in, not pinball. What's it called? Where you lob the big heavy ball down the wooden thing.
At the holes or at the
Skittles or balls.
Skittles, balls. Is it called
it's
bowling?
bowling.
Bowling, right. Bowling, you put your fingers in the ball and lob it down there.
That's bowling.
Yeah, I've never really liked that game.
You could just do
But the
something
young
daft.
do. You know, when we take Ayana to the, keep saying her name, I really should stop. But she's 16 now, it's all right.
Yeah.
We can identify
We
her.
go to the arcade.
And we got the arcade, and next door is this bowling hall. And it's
No,
always
the arcade's in the
packed.
bowling hall.
Is it
Right
in
at
it?
the bowling hall,
All
yeah.
right, it's packed. Absolutely packed with young people bowling. And it's like, because you can build the outdoor bowling, it's easy enough. It's just a concrete chute with gutters and your pins at the end. You can do it. And kids would love that. You know, young people would love that.
You could
Play
do.
it.
We like playing the skee ball in the arcade. You know, where you lob the balls into the holes for all the different points. You could do that outside as well.
Yeah.
So it's fun for all the ages. Those that can't play with the balls can play with the skee ball.
I can remember talking to I won't say his name, but it's a member of a local society to us, and I mentioned things like this, and I said, why don't you push to get this? Because this is what the young want. This is why they're not engaging. They want more modern, upgraded facilities, you know, and it's like basketball. Put a basketball court in. I mean, that's just marked out concrete with a net. You know, you only need half a court. If you've got a blank wall, put a half a tennis court on it and get squash rackets. These are all things that can be done naked. These are all things that will attract young people into naturism. You know, I mean, there's just not enough sport facilities within naturism, and it's kind of weird because naturism promotes healthy lifestyles probably more than anyone else. And clubs don't reflect that. You know, lying down on a blanket, baking like a potato in the sun, it's not really sporty, is it? You know, I mean, it's great for you.
You're just jealous I get to keep my tan.
Yeah, I am. That'd be your preferred sport, though, wouldn't it?
No, because I get too hot.
Yeah, you run to the shade quicker than me.
Give me a chair under a tree with a book. There we go. Reading is a sport.
I mean, archery, again, we've proven with our archery that, you know, if a naturist club put an actual outdoor archery ring in with a straw target, and as long as it was fenced off safely with the right stuff, they would fill that every day, all day. You know, there weren't enough hours in the day at the events we did for us. We were literally burned out and exhausted at the end of each day because we just had so many people wanting to go. Yeah, I can remember your two. Oh, you're packing up.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, God, I'm so tired. You know, I did promise them at some point, if we ever meet up in it and there's space, we'd bring the gear down and I'd just let them run wild with it and just let them shoot all day. You know, I'm quite sure the both of them would love that. I certainly know the Windy would, wouldn't she? She's in her element out in the garden doing it. But you see, she does hula hooping.
Yeah, I like hula hooping.
But I think people do like to be active. I think there is this. I mean, especially youngsters. You know, there is this idea, isn't there, that we don't anymore. But I think we do. I think we still do like to just get up and do things. I think if someone was to say, look, you're going to spend 2 weeks just sitting on the beach reading a book, that would seem really nice, but you'd soon think, I can't do that.
No, I can't.
Well, it depends how many books you're giving me. For 2 weeks, I need at least
but I think
7
at the end
minimum.
of the day, it's just nice to do. Just it's fun, isn't it? You know, it's you want. I mean, it's like the other day we went round my sister's house and we were sort of like playing like a little curling game on her kitchen worktop, and you know, it's not sporty, but it is sporty. It's sort of, you know, it's a tabletop curling. But it's just nice to just do something that is interactive, because as soon as you start playing, you know, if you were to sort of like have, say, you know, you went to a naturist club or whatever, and they decided, right, we're gonna play cricket. and you think, I don't really sort of like know cricket, I don't like cricket, I'm not very good at cricket, whatever. But as soon as you sort of like get bunched into teams and you start communicating with each other, you then get this interaction and you start having fun despite yourself, despite the fact that you're thinking, it's a nice day, I'd rather just put my feet up and read a book. You suddenly get pulled into it. Because I think maybe it's something that goes long before, sport really was sport, when it was just part of life, when you were learning to throw a javelin because you were throwing it at an antelope, or whatever it might be, when you're just out and about being active as a group, and maybe that's what sport is sort of like a carry on from, is this idea of like, it is good to be active and work together as a team, as a bonding thing, but also just
you don't have to try and make conversations about.
Well, it's right, but somehow you still do. I mean, it's like when we went to Vera, and we went into the hotel there, and they had a big swimming pool, and there was, I don't know, was it about 40 people playing volleyball? Is it volleyball? Over, in the water when you throw it over the net, and they were from all there were people that were in their 80s in the water, and there was people that were sort of like 3, and there was, gosh, I don't know, 10 different languages being spoken, but it was all communicating with hands and smiles and gestures and stuff, and it worked, and they were just having an absolute ball, and if they weren't doing that, there would have been 40 different people of different ages with different languages that were just sitting by the pool or swimming around by themselves and not interconnecting. But as soon as they got into that, between those two nets, and had a ball to pass backwards and forwards, there was communication, laughter, and sort of like friendship, even if it only lasted like during that 45 minutes of playing a game. It was a lovely thing to watch, wasn't it? It was really, you could see that everyone was just so happy. And it was,
Well, it was something similar at Worsley. Like when we first went to Worsley, I mean, can you imagine, like first of all, one of us has got rainbow coloured hair. And we were the odd couple, weren't we? Let's be honest, we were the odd couple.
Yeah, we were.
We walked in and everyone was like looking at us because, first of all, we had a child with us, which seemed weird to them, because the kids had just dropped off completely.
But they all just sat around the pool.
And they're all around the edge of this pool. It just stood there in groups talking, and so I got in the middle with our daughter, and I was lobbing her all over the place and just messing about. And then it was Dave, wasn't it? The Roofer Dave. Roofer Dave said, "I'll bring a beach ball next time." So we thought, well, that's a great idea, because I mean, we're trying to keep our daughter entertained for 4 hours, So we turned up with 3 beach balls, didn't we? And there's a lot of frowning going on from the elder members.
But the baby pool and the medium pool, the middle pool, are separated by a wall walkway. So that's our net.
Yeah. So
all the little ones that can't be in the slightly deeper pool are in the baby pool, and there's like 16 balls going on.
Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy. But you know what? The amazing thing is at one point, I think they just got fed up of Windy throwing the ball and hitting them on the head. Right. So they started throwing it back. And she just encouraged them to form a big circle. And at the end of that first day, we probably had about 30 people in a big circle, just throwing all these beach balls at each other and laughing and joking. And that night on the national website, the amount of comments about how amazingly wonderful Worsley was today. And so we bought more beach balls, didn't we? And we encouraged.
I bought glitter ones.
We encouraged others.
They've got glitter inside them. But one of them popped, and I was like, "Quick, get it out of the pool before all the glitter comes out."
But it's amazing now, because now, first of all, they know who we are. They kind of got used to us. We're like cheerleaders at Worsley, aren't we? And And they know that there's going to be chaos at the far end of the little pool and in the kids' pool, because they know we're all going to be up that end using the wall as a net. But you'd be amazed how many of the kind of the elder regulars come and join in. And they love it.
And you literally get from the little ones, you know, like 3-4 years of age, right the way up into their 80s, easy, all joining in. And the line is, when they pass you the ball back, you're like, you licked it, it's yours, which means you've touched it, you've got to throw it back. So, and that's how you get everyone joining in.
Yeah, you see them all on the edge at first watching us, and you can see it in their eyes. They want to play. So when it lands near them, we say, well, go on, get it over there, you know, and they'll join in that way. But it's amazing how afterwards, when everyone heads to the cafe, which is kind of, it's cool, isn't it? Because everyone's still naked. I mean, they just got a towel around the neck or around the waist. They all look exhausted, and they all say, you know, that was the most fun we've had, but I'm so tired now. But it's a great workout for them, and they really look forward to it.
I must admit, I ache for about 3 days after the swim, because you don't realise it's water exercise.
Yeah,
it's like, I'm as light as a feather, and then you're dead for the next 3 days.
You feel it.
Use muscles.
I always feel it in my arm.
Before.
I always feel it in my arm the day after from all the like smacking the ball. I was pulled his shoulder. He had to take 4 days off work. One particularly aggressive afternoon. He took 4 days off work because he couldn't move his arm, and he works on the bins, so he couldn't pull the bins.
So what was his excuse for not going in?
No idea. I think he's just complained he'd pulled his arm.
Yeah, I've got no idea what I've done. I've pulled my shoulder.
It's not exactly what you can say. I was playing naked volleyball with a load of kids, and that could have well, wasn't it, with local council.
No.
Yeah, not really the best way of getting out of work, is it?
No, not at all.
Water polo is really good as well, isn't it? That'd be a good thing to play.
Yeah. I mean, that looks quite exhausting.
That is exhausting.
Harrison is actually used to play water polo.
What is it that during an average water polo match they tread water for like 4 miles worth of swimming or something
like that? Yeah.
That water's too deep. Get a skinnier pool, not a skinnier pool. What's it called?
I'd be afraid of drowning the horses.
Yeah.
But water polo is great fun. That'd be fun to play naked.
Yeah.
That'd be hilarious, wouldn't it?
That's something you can do, isn't it? That's if you've got a pool, you can do it in, of course. Yeah. And it's indoors. Yeah. So with our climate,
I think naturism needs to embrace the healthy aspect, and not just sport, but just healthiness in general. You know, whether it's the vitamin D or just active, getting out and about and fresh air and going.
The sad thing is that, I mean, one of the real common cause on naturism is like vegetarianism and veganism is very popular, because there is those kind of environmental concerns. Yoga's popular, Pilates is popular, meditation is popular. These are all great for health, eating the right foods. But when it comes to exercise, actually at events and places, it's limited. And actually, you think that's the one area that naturism would want to expand, because the wonderful thing, like Anna was saying earlier, the wonderful thing about sport is that it's social.
Yeah. And you don't have to think of conversation.
Yeah.
You don't have to have, and you don't have to have something in common with the person next door. Your centre of focus is that sport you're doing. Activity.
I mean, you can walk anywhere into a football match. A couple of blokes playing on a beach or on a football field, and just, can I join in? You don't need to know. The moment you start playing, they're like, hey, and all the messaging's going on and the comments and the shouts, and suddenly you're socially interacting with these completely random strangers, and you're forming a bond with them because you're a team. You're against them, and suddenly you're interacting. Naturism should be doing far more of that, to bring that interaction. Because I actually think, and as we saw at Holkin, one of the hardest things to do at first is to encourage the interaction. Which, as you know, on the summer camp, that's the first thing we did. We did a treasure room where we pitted you all against each other.
And a savage.
And yeah, and then we attacked you as a group, and we gave you loads of riddles to solve. And before you know it, everyone was getting excited, and everyone was talking to each other, and everyone was walking up the path, all excited, going looking for the the bucket of whatever it was, you know.
Eternal life or something
Yeah,
like that.
I've got it somewhere. The armor.
Yeah.
But it got everybody laughing, it got everyone joking, it got everybody talking. And so the following day when we started the activities, people were already connected. And that was the whole point of the treasure hunt. It was just stupid, it was silly, there was no rules. We were going to cheat. They all knew that.
We literally told them in the instructions.
And they had to come together in order to overcome us. Because, you know, like, I mean, Iona especially was, she was a terrorist.
Feral. She was feral.
On Lamas.
We're never giving her
On the
a
Lamas
water gun.
camp. Oh my God, she was like a ninja assassin, wasn't she? She
There
was
was nothing
terrifying.
ninja about it. She literally sat on one of the points and just held everyone at gunpoint. And she's like, "Come at me if you dare." And I'm like, "You're being a bit feral now. You're not allowed to jump on them."
Yeah.
So she's not allowed a water gun again.
It was, you know, and it got people walking. It got them walking up the steep hill to begin with, so you all got used to it on the first day.
It got them running from Iona.
It got them running. You know, it got you interacting. It was a good.
It was quite exhausting, wasn't it? Didn't you have to get something like some water balloons or something like that and take it back?
You had to take the
You had to fill your
water
orb
bombs.
with water.
And I think poor H ran up and down like 3 times, and then the bucket disappeared.
Yeah.
It was crazy. And we dyed the water green so you couldn't go up the tap and fill it up.
Yeah, we used food colouring so no one could cheat.
Oh, we had it all. But again, sport or activity together does that. It's healthy. It's fun. You know, and it was a great activity, wasn't it? And because there was some of it was on the road, some of it was under the trees. The Lamas one was cruel because it was up that big steep hill, right to the top of the forest and back, and they were exhausted.
It was Lamas, wasn't it? It was the water bombs. They had to keep the water bomb whole. Now we just bought cheap pound shop ones, and you know what they're like when you got to blow them up with the water, and they just pop, don't they? So we gave everyone one of those, and they had to keep it. They had to keep it all whole and not pop the water bomb. And Iona was literally, she was so feral, she's just jumping on people and squashing the water bombs.
I mean, it's funny because I mean when we were doing the when we were creating the list for the explore section the first time round, it amazed me how, particularly in Germany, it seemed that there's still quite a few of them that have like proper full-size gyms, indoor gym setup, and there's some there's a lot of them that specialize in certain sports. There's one that does canoeing, that they have a club that's on the side of a river, and they do a lot of canoeing, and they take the sport really seriously, and I think that's a really great thing. In America, up until like I think the early 60s, a lot of the naturist clubs, they had strict regimes of you had to exercise every day, you had to be naked no matter what the weather was like, you couldn't eat meat, you couldn't drink alcohol, you couldn't have cigarettes or whatever. And I think, you know, in the 60s that sort of like got thrown out the window. And but certainly there's certainly nothing wrong. You can't really sort of like force people and say, look, you know, you're gonna get naked. It's, you know, no matter the fact it's snowing, and you're gonna run up and down for an hour and exercise. You know, you can't do that. But there's certainly nothing wrong with encouraging more exercise and activity, and you know, because we are becoming a cool, you know, as humans, you know, we're getting more and more lazy, more and more obese. We're losing a lot of skills, like we were saying earlier, weren't we? You know, about working skills and stuff.
Yeah.
And you know, it's good because when you do try it, you actually do enjoy it. And I think it's certainly something that as naturists, I think we should be thinking more of encouraging better health, encouraging more activity, and finding that balance of saying, look, you know, we welcome you no matter what state of health you're in or whatever, but you know, and you shouldn't chastise people for being overweight and that sort of thing. But it's good to also encourage people to say, get active. It's good to get your heart beating. It's good to get out and get fit. And I think as a you know, as a society, Naturism should be saying, look, we want to encourage good health. We want to encourage good health in our young as well.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's an awful lot of kids that that are growing up, I think, now not playing sports and never getting involved in it. I think childhood obesity in Britain is something now like 38% or something.
But it's mainstream society that's caused this, because I mean, we've literally allowed everything to be monetized and corporatized, and with that has come Netflix, Amazon, you know, Disney, Sky, all the streaming channels, and then of course you've got all your Xbox and all your other kinds of gaming, and it's very high profit, but it also keeps the individual sat in one place doing very little, but focusing on the games or focusing on the streaming, and it's become a major problem. Because, you know, if you go right back to like Gen X, which, you know, is my generation, and you look at the 70s, you know, like as soon as it was daylight, our parents kicked us out. We weren't allowed back until it went dark. So we had to amuse ourselves. And I mean, luckily, you know, I grew up not far from where I am now. So I had all the woodlands, all the low and all the wilds to play in. And that was my playground as a kid. I've climbed all those trees, you know, made dens in them. Played, you know, when the Olympics was on, we used to like do all the Olympics, and you know, when the World Cup was on, we used to all pretend to be whatever country and play all the football games. And so we literally from dawn till dusk, we just never stopped. We'd come home filthy, get in the bath, have something to eat and go to bed, and then we were up bright and early the following morning. You know, like, I mean, just something like bonfire night, you know, it's just a tradition which sadly has died out in Britain. You know, but I can remember that with my three brothers. You know, we'd start like a month before. We'd be hauling a bogey that we made with wood on it. And this thing weighed a ton. It was like pulling a tank. And there's only three of us. We were all tiny. I mean, we said, but do you know what? It was physical labour, but it kept us fit. It kept us healthy. All that's gone because kids, and we've seen it with our own, haven't we?
Yeah.
You know, they just want to sit there either.
Obsessed.
Yeah. Playing computers, you know, World of Warcraft, whatever it is.
But at the same time,
Fortnite.
you can't say, oh well, our kids are like this, and it's like, well, yeah, okay, they are, but there's no one there to play out with, because all the kids are like that. So even if they went out, they'd get bored and come home.
I mean, the great thing is when we get our daughter's bike out of the shed, as soon as she sees it,
oh, she disappears.
She's off down the avenue on it. And she'll spend all day just going round and round our avenue on it. You know, and then she'll pressurize me and the mum to go down the railway line, you know, which is 5.5 mile run. So we cycle there and back, you know, and sometimes we do that twice because she just won't let it go. She loves cycling.
I do it once.
At least
10 miles is too much.
Yeah. But at least she wants to do it. The will's there, but that's because she's got us. Again, with the archery, you know, yeah, you are stood still. Well, you're not really, because you're walking to and from the target, aren't you? Even with 70 arrows, we must put 10 mile walking, just getting the arrows back.
Yeah.
But it's good for the shoulders. It's good for the waist.
It's physical. It's an activity.
Yeah. It does really, really work on your body. You feel it. And it's like, again, hula hooping. It sounds daft, but hula hooping's like, it's a major sport in our garden during the summer, isn't it? For you and Wendy.
No, for Iona, she shows off. She's like, I can do it with 5, and I'm like, and I can do 1. Couldn't even do one hula hoop up until like 4 years ago.
But you use the weighted ring.
Yeah.
You know, which is painful, I know, but
it's not so bad after the first week and a half. You just got to get past that bruising phase.
Yeah, because you bruise.
After the campsite, the camping, I went home and bought a hula hoop, didn't I? One you could put, weights, put rice in and whatever.
Maybe we shouldn't use rice pudding though.
And I found it quite heavy, and it was actually hurting. And I thought, this is too painful. I'm not enjoying this at all.
How heavy?
So I threw it in the bin.
Yeah, well, it depends on how heavy it actually is. I got a weighted hoop. It's a steel hoop, and it's got the foam wraps on it. You've seen it.
Yeah.
So okay,
that's
I cheated.
Like when I purchased.
Right. Yeah. So they're actually 2.2 pounds in weight when you first buy them anyway. Yeah. And it's reported that for it to be healthy, it shouldn't go above 2.5 pounds in weight, because otherwise you're going to start causing internal damage and stuff like that.
Oh gosh.
So you don't actually have to add any extra weight to it.
Yeah.
I just use the hoop as it is. They've got these weird little stoppers stuck inside them from where you can add extra weights, and then you put the stopper in to stop it spinning round. So my hoop makes a weird clicky sound, which is great because it sounds like it's counting seconds. But you just get past that initial bruising.
But I've got to admit, you know, I mean, I could literally see the physical changes on Rin when she was using it. You know, I mean, I literally noticed the difference almost
after
immediately.
The first week, you actually feel more energetic, and I suppose, but it probably sounds daft, but the way that it probably jigs about your insides, it sorts your digestive system out and everything. And after that first week, you really start to feel the difference.
Yeah, because you used to just put your headphones on, didn't you, and just go for it in the garden.
Yeah, once I figured out how to hula hoop. It sounds daft. I didn't know how to hula hoop until I was about 36.
She used to hold her hands like this.
Like this.
And it looked like she was praying. And I see, you know, from a certain angle, I used to look down the garden, and it looked to me like she was...
Yeah, I'd stand like this.
You know, praying to the Lord to keep the hoops spinning or something.
You can't hula hoop with your hands down.
But...
Gets in the way. See,
it did work.
Kind of like with your arms up.
I was a bit kind of like not sure about this, just another fad like all the others. And no, actually, I noticed physical changes on you within a couple of months of you doing it. Was it 15 minutes?
No, I used to do 3 5-minute sessions, so one in the morning, one in the afternoon, one at night. And then when you're bruising, you change that to either 3 minutes or 2 5 minutes, one in the morning, one at night. You're supposed to skip bruising days, but that's just after you get more bruises. And then in the summer, yeah, it just depends on how long. If me and her are challenging each other, I think, what was it, 57 minutes? I was angry. There was builders next door in the garden, and they can see over our fence, and I couldn't be naked in the sun, so I was angry hooping, and I was out there for about an hour, and I hadn't realised.
Skipping's also, you know, that's a good one. For weight.
Yes, it's good. It's good for stamina, isn't it? Really good for stamina, skipping.
I can't skip. Well, I can skip, but I get tangled up in the rope.
I used to be quite good at skipping. That's pretty alright.
First stage of skipping on the way to school and back, didn't he?
Much to Harrison's disgust.
Yeah, because Harrison was like that skill, like. But no, it was like he would skip all the way to school and then back again. And he was fast.
Yeah.
It was like he was just running. I was like, I
just running and doing that
and skipping at the same time. It was
brilliant.
I always found
it's getting people out and about exercising. It's getting people active, and I mean, and we are. It's not like we still like are saying, you know, people got to be fit like us because we're not fit. We're not fit. We're overweight. And,
I'm the heaviest I've ever been right now. And it says 63.1% of people over the age of 16 should be having 150 minutes of moderate intensity activity per week.
Which is nothing, isn't it? That's only like half an hour a day.
Yeah. And moderate intensity activity is anything that gets your heart rate up to 50 to 60% higher than when you're resting. So, but if you think about it, we go for a walk, but we're not doing a brisk walk.
No.
So we go for a walk every day, but it's more of a meander.
It's actually healthier for you than a brisk walk.
That's actually better for you,
as daft as parking as far away from the supermarket door and walking across the car park is healthier for you than doing a brisk walk.
I mean, we when we get out in the summer, we'll go down the side of the house and out into the backs. Then we walk up the railway, and then we kind of come up the little footpath and onto where all the farms are. It's a big long lane, and that takes us to the bottom of the big low, which is just basically it's an NH4 actually, big hill. So we go up the hill, don't we? And then we come down the sides and we come down the main roads, and that's about a 6 mile round trip.
Oh, the murder walk, yeah.
But we do it really casually. But you know, we take our time, we sort along, we look at the butterflies, we look at the trees, we talk about how beautiful some of the farmhouses are because they're like Georgian, they're gorgeous, and how we want to save up and buy one day.
You're not saving up.
In our dreams, you know. And we just take our time and we totally just soak it up, don't we? But you do feel a hell of a lot better the following day.
You have to take
You're tired. But you wake up, I don't know, you're more alert, you're more aware, you're more on the ball. We do that a lot.
Yeah.
You know. And so you don't really need to, it's not like you need to go out and like speed walk. Just casual sauntering. It gets all the muscle tissues, it gets the blood pumping, and it's really good for you.
I mean, really, you know, one of the things that, if we look at quite a lot of the 12 days of naturism, is that there's a lot of things that are linked with health, whether that's you know, the health, not just sport and activity, but also just health in general. So you know, there's like next month's the gardening, you know, and there's an awful lot of things. You know, there's the physical side of it, like or whatever, but there's also just being out in nature and being in the fresh air and stuff like that. But if you're gardening all the time, you're not sitting inside eating. You're outside and you're active. Hiking. There's you know there's a swimming one. There's in what is it? I don't know. It's October or something. There's spa and well-being. You know, and that's all about, you know, health as well. And did I mention hiking? Did I mention? I don't know, but there's an awful lot of stuff that's encouraging, but mental health and physical health, and that connection with naturism, and I think, you know, that's something that's really important throughout the year. Throughout naturism, there is that, you know, constant thing of feeling good about yourself, with positivity, you know, physical and mental health, and it's important.
I would say some of our greatest holiday moments is cliff walking, just walking along the tops of the cliff, taking all the scenery in, and just walking at some distance from the cliff, but close enough to see the view.
Yeah, coastal walks are brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean that's like whenever we went to Pen y Fan, we always, pretty much always, parked
As far
a good couple of miles away or more.
Yeah.
And walked up pretty steep hills at times, you know, along the coast and stuff, and then obviously down to the beach, and then you'd spend the whole day in the beach at the sea, running around with the kids and stuff, and then you're walking back again afterwards. And there's a lot of exercise there, a lot of activity.
And you feel good at the end of the day.
Feel amazing.
But exhausted.
Exhausted, yeah.
Which feels good.
Yeah. I've got film footage of the walk back from Bolt, and we slept that night, didn't we? Whew, that was a mission on the way. It was great going because we're heading downhill, but on the way back, I felt like a mission and a half because we'd spent the whole day like being very active in the sea. So I didn't. When we got in the car, I didn't know whether I should drive or just go to sleep for an hour. I was exhausted. But what a day! That was the quietest night in the tent for us, wasn't it? We just gone.
Yeah.
You know.
It's nice.
So this is one of the things that really frustrates me about naturism at the moment is I think I think as families, we're much more hands-on. We're much more connected to our kids. We're getting them out. You know, and I think the reason we're out in the morning here playing football
because there's no other kids
doing it, but also because they're used to us doing things with them and stuff. And I think, you know, nature's families are much more hands-on. They're much more connected. They're much more, you know, active and stuff. Whether that's, you know, going to the clubs or going camping, going swimming, you know. So, like you said a bit ago, how like, you know, there's less families at the swim now, and so, you know, it's like, and why? What? it really frustrates me that we're not sort of saying, this is what families should be doing, this is what kids should be doing, this is what families should be doing. We should be saying, let's get families out together, connecting together and exercising together and getting active together and bonding, instead of being in individual rooms sitting in front of screens. And I think that's a really, really important selling point from Naturism. And yet we're not really doing that. We're not making out that it is this great thing for families. We're not pushing that enough. And that seems tragic, really.
I must admit, with Worsley, we look at Worsley now, because we've been going there for like 3 years now. And we're becoming we're like accepted regulars now, but we have people approach us at Worsley. It's happened to me several times now, where someone will say, well, would it be okay if I bring my granddaughter next month? Or like my brother's kids, they want to do this. Would it be all right to bring them? And I have no idea whether they ask me, because we're nothing to do with the organisation. And I'm like, yeah, the more the merrier, bring them. We'll have a beach ball out and they can join in. And we have seen the amount of families increase over the 3 years, haven't they? We're quite a good few come now. There's quite a lot there. It's not so bad. I mean, yeah, it's noisy. I think some of the some of the older ones are they're kind of like run away now, and they sit at the cafe a lot, don't they? Because we do make a hell of a din. But the amount of joy that afternoon at Worsley is fantastic. And there's a really big pool for those with serious swimmers that it's quite deep, and we don't have anything to do with
that.
That's
the ice pool.
We're in the little pools, aren't we? And
they're warmer.
Yeah.
We usually find that most people are up our end, joining in with us lot.
Yeah.
With that one down there, like causing havoc. They can't see your hand.
You can, just in the corner of the street.
Wow, we got Windy on a podcast and she's staying quiet. We're talking about sport. You could join in.
I mean, like our oldest. I mean,
I just realised.
He wakes up at 6 every morning. He wants to be running around. He wants to be active. I mean, he cleans our car every weekend, doesn't he? At least once, because it's like, I want to clean the car. He wants to do things, and I think it's partly because he's just been brought up with that idea of doing things. He used to do when he was like 2 or 3. We would be doing these 2-mile walks to the beach and back, and he'd be running around all day on the beach, and he's got stamina, and is that partly because we've always been active with him? At the same time, he'll burn off that energy, and then as soon as we get in the car on the way home, he's like,
even now.
Yeah, I mean that's that one. I mean, we were pretty similar the way we raised our kids, weren't we? Because Ren's mum lives in the next town over, so it's about 3.5, 4 mile away, isn't it? So we used to, instead of getting the bus, because we had 2 kids with us, it was always difficult. I mean, especially with Windy, when Windy was really tiny.
It's actually a bit longer than that.
She was like, on crack. I mean, you couldn't keep her still. I mean, like, it was easier to walk a Doberman than it is, or it was our little one.
No, it's easier to walk a Great Dane.
Yeah, I mean, she used to drag me along. So we used to walk down the railway too, and it connects to the canal. And then we'd walk down the canal to the next town, and then go and visit a mum, and then we'd walk back. Yeah. And our kids got used to that.
It's about 15-mile round trip.
Yeah, it was quite a long walk, wasn't it? But the kids loved it, and in the summer it was glorious, And in the winter we'd sit them on a sledge and pull them, which was they loved it, didn't they?
And tie them together.
So that's how our kids were raised. So yeah, I mean, our eldest now, he's actually moved over to your neck of the woods. He's in Skegness now, and he's working over there at one of the camps. I mean, he's still pretty active, isn't he?
Yeah, he doesn't stay still.
This one here, if you provide the bike or the bow, we won't see her. But anything other, and she's on a bed.
In the back cave.
I like skating.
Hey?
Like skating.
Like skating. Very quietly in the background.
Oh, is that like roller skating or ice skating or both?
she's not tried ice skating yet. She can't
It's
hear the
very
conversation.
similar. Very similar.
Yeah, if you can inline skate, you can ice skate. But trying to go from roller skates to ice skating, that's a big adjustment because you're going from 4 separate wheels to inline on a blade.
Yeah.
I know.
That's an activity then, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah. I'm just thinking about nature's ice skating now.
Nature's ice skating might be painful if you're like me and you keep one over on your bum.
Yeah.
Cold as well.
I don't do that. I can't see you ice skating naked.
Unless you're really energetic and good, and then you can zip around and you'd be warm. Body temperature would be warm, but
I've never quite got the hang of ice skating yet.
I've not ice skated for years. I mean, probably about 30 years since I last ice skated. I'm pretty sure I could probably still do it. Just give me a bit of a warm up.
26 years since I last ice skated.
You see how wonderful it is? There's so many things you can do as a naturist.
It would be quite fun though. The concept of doing like an ice skating meet,
Yeah.
Complete opposite to warmth and sunshine. But
yeah. It'd be fun.
Yeah, it would be. I think it would be.
I mean, ice skating or roller skating. I mean, it would be fantastic, wouldn't it?
Roller skating would be easy enough to do.
Roller skating would be really easy to do naked, I don't know though. Falling's falling.
You'd need to meet up on, like one of these running tracks, because your road surfaces they're too.
Yeah.
The vibration really screws your ankles up when you're blading, because the surfaces. It's not like blacktop. It's not smooth. It has to be really smooth to enjoy skating.
So you've got blades. Now she's got blades. Where the wheels are in a row, like an ice skate. She's got blades. She's got the blading boots, but the railway line, it's pretty.
It's too bumpy.
Rough tarmac that they put down.
You skate for about half an hour and then you can't feel your ankles, which means you feel a bit detached from your feet, so you start falling over because of the vibration through the wheels.
You need really smooth cement, don't you? Like
blacktop, motorway blacktop.
Like your skateboard parks and things like that. I wouldn't want to skateboard naked. I mean, I grew up on a skateboard. I was that generation. We brought them in, but I think now, my balance has gone a bit dicky now. I think I'd probably take a lot of skin off.
I suppose you could still wear elbow and knee pads, couldn't you? I suppose if you were doing skating, roller skating, ice skating, or anything. I suppose.
And socks.
But I think that when you put your mind to it and you really do sit and deeply think and discuss this. I mean, like today we've come up with so many different things, and it's like, okay, so how do we encourage people to go find their local roller rink and find out if they have a free day, or can they book the rink and then organize something? Because I mean, it's there, isn't it?
Independent bowling alleys, there must be some that you can hire out for an evening or whatever, and some of the smaller ones, you wouldn't have to have that many people.
I think it'd be great if you could get a racetrack and just fill it full of bicycles and let people bicycle naked. Or, some of these country estates, they have paths all over the place. But no one ever walks on them. So open them up, allow naturist cyclists in. I'd love to do more naked cycling.
There must be schools that could rent out their sports fields and gyms and stuff during the summer.
I think quite a lot of them do, don't they?
Yeah.
They rent out their space.
Yeah.
But there's always that fear with them, isn't there? Oh, if the PTA find out, they'll be able to play. And it's stupid, really, because no one's getting hurt. But that idea of naked adults in a school, you just know how the Sun's going to play that, or the Daily Mirror. They're going to write that one up.
It's tragic, isn't it?
Yeah, and this is the saddest thing about modern day living. There's too much media, and it's not good media.
And the other issue that you have with schools is they don't really have control over how their security system is deleted.
Show your record.
It's on all the time.
Yeah, I mean, again, you see, it's these connotations that we've allowed to creep into naturism for the last decade. They've really become so pervasive now. They have strangled a lot of different aspects. I mean, if these were all adult only on adult sites, it wouldn't be a problem. But you know, I hate the idea of that because I want to see more families getting together and more families doing stuff.
Yeah,
you know,
and it seems to be happening more and more. You know, there are all the, we're going back to sort of like, health and activity and exercise. You know, you have these like walks and skinny dips and stuff, and you just look at the small print or the information about it, and it's like it's adult only, adult only, adult only, adult only, adult only, adult only, and it's just so depressing and so sad and so short-sighted.
And to a degree, if you just look at the club's sports listing, there's the swimming pool, there's, what is it, Miniton or whatever, and balls. No, not balls, because that's Crown Green, isn't it?
Well, it's bowls. It's, the French say bowls. We say balls.
Basically, let's say there's 5 sporting options, and each club has a combination of 3. It's like, oh, well, we're going to take these 3, and we'll take these 3, and we'll take these 3, and it's like, yeah, but there's so much more to offer.
Yeah.
Broaden your minds.
I think that naturist clubs, especially because they own their own property, I think they could open up and put in more. But I think the problem that we've got is there's that certain group who are in control of everything, who don't want activity and don't want noise, and they resist it. And to be honest, there needs to be a push from the younger people, to bring this stuff in. And I think if you bring it in, I think you'll see more and more young people coming into naturism. But I mean, the only reason we're not seeing it is because there's nothing to attract them.
Yeah.
That's like saying to a 19-year-old today, let's all go and watch a black and white movie. And they're like, ugh. But you tell them it's an IMAX theatre and it's got 3D sound and all the latest CGI graphics. They're interested. And that's why naturism's lacking. It's kind of the equivalent of a 1950s diner compared to IMAX. That's what naturism's become. The 1950s diner.
You can't use that era. That's currently retro. So,
well, I mean,
it's cool. It's in. They'd go to the 1950s diner. You have to use a different comparison.
All right. Okay. There isn't one. Some form of archaic stone man lobbing clubs at each other. Actually, they'd probably go for that. But yeah, it's the perception. It's perceived as old and boring. Whereas you can say, oh, we've got an outdoor bowling alley, and you can do this and that, and volleyball and baseball, basketball. They'd be like, oh, really? That you get the interest, and they'd show up and they'd enjoy it. Put a net across the pool and get some water volleyball going.
If you build it, they will come.
Yeah, it's true, isn't it? Wayne's World.
No, I'm joking. It's not aliens.
We're not worth it.
It's not Wayne's World.
I love that movie. But yeah, I think that's the problem. We're not building it and we're not billing it. We're not getting out there and saying to people, this is what's available. Come do it.
But what's really sad, I mean, you're saying about how, so many of these people now in the clubs or whatever don't want the noise and they don't want this and that. But a lot of these people were clubs with, when they were kids. You went to these clubs when they were kids and stuff, and they look back and they remember the joy of all the children running around and how much fun it was and how much noise there was and how much laughter there was, and they look back at that, and it seems it's so crazy, isn't it, that these people are sort of like thinking, do we want children running around, and yet they know how wonderful it is to have children around.
I think that's one of the reasons we've been so successful at Worsley. Because first of all, we made them quite nostalgic because they remember when. And then we didn't really invite them to join us. We threw a ball at them. and
Aggressive.
and to be honest, you could see it. That memory was there. They wanted to join in. Then they wanted. So if I'd see somebody who was watching us and seemed interested, and I'd just throw a ball at them and say, "God, lob one over," and then they'd move a little bit closer and a little bit closer, and then within about 10 or 15 minutes, they were inside the game in a big line with the rest of us, all batting balls in every different direction.
There's a couple of the older generation that when we show up with the balls, you see their eyes light up and they just move to our side of the pool.
Yeah.
And they're like, right, I want to join in now.
But I think it's also because we take quite a lot. I mean, we take, what, 6? Is it 4 now?
We originally had 9.
But we get the others to bring beach balls as well. So we've got all these different sizes of beach balls, and
we've got 2,
far more than we need.
We've got 2. One's got a crab lobster thing inside it. We can't decide what it is, but it blows up separately to the ball, and another one that's got a unicorn inside it. And because they've got these separate blow up things inside them that are flapping about, the ball never goes where people want it to go. It's hilarious.
Yeah, that's probably quite fun. Unpredictable.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, because we've got so many, you know, it's like if you're playing water polo, it's just the one ball, isn't it? Oh, yeah, we threw that away. You know, we've got so many that, you know, what it does is everyone can see this chaos, and they want to bring order. And the way they do that is by joining us and whacking the ball over. I think another area of health that doesn't get enough talk is food. And I think, again, you know, I think Naturism needs to step up the plate on food. I was actually watching a video yesterday about fortified foods, and that was really, really interesting, because if you go to Italy and you eat bread and pasta, you won't gain weight. You know, you won't gain that much weight. If anything, you'll lose weight. And one of the reasons is because if you look on a lot of food packets, it says fortified, and what that means is there's added vitamins and amino acids
and protein.
Right now, the problem with that is that the amino acids are chemically created, because there's no natural source of amino acids to use as an additive, and so they put all this stuff on food, especially grains and cereals, under this guise of fortified. But the research is now showing that fortified foods actually won't help you burn fat. So even though you're eating healthy oats and, you know, things like cornflakes and things like that, I mean, cornflakes actually tells you on the packet fortified, and they're spraying the crops with this stuff, and it's actually causing people to gain weight rather than lose weight. And just removing that from food, you know, and making people aware of that will help, and it will help them live a healthier lifetime. Same with processed foods. See, Naturism could be really sort of capitalizing on this and getting this information out, saying, look at us, you know, we love our bodies, we care for our bodies, and we care what we put in. And I do think there's a big need for Naturism to take up the cause for really bad foods and food health. Yeah. And again, I think it's an area that we're lacking on promoting.
It's interesting. I was talking to my brother-in-law yesterday, and he'd just been listening to something, and apparently the average plate was 23 centimeters in diameter in the 1960s, and now it's 28 centimeters in diameter. So we are having bigger plates.
Centimeters bigger. Right.
Yeah, in diameter. Yeah. So I mean, it's all the way around, isn't it? So I mean, and you know, when you look at, you know, one of the little tricks they say, don't you, when you're trying to lose weight, is have smaller plates, because then it looks like you've got more food on it. And it's like, and if we are actually just buying now bigger plates than we used to.
It's like our breakfast bowls. I said our breakfast bowls are huge. They take up so much space in the dishwasher, and yet
encouraging people to fill up more food. Yeah. Whereas my mum and dad's breakfast bowls are about
tiny.
I mean, really, you'd be better off just making your cereal direct into a spoon, and then just put it in your mouth and you're done. You know,
I mean,
I don't know how that.
to be honest, it's something I've thought about, because like in 2022, we really researched that article on clothing. I mean, I could probably write another 3 blogs to add to that on how pollutant and bad the clothing industry is. But I think when it comes to foods, I think that there's a lot of things out there that I could really put a blog series together on if I wanted to. It's just having the extra time at the moment to do it. But things like fortified foods, things like processed foods, the amount of chemicals, the way that things like Alzheimer's, dementia, diabetes have all spiked up at the same pitch as the sales of food. And I think naturism should really, to a degree, take the responsibility of saying to people, you've got to understand that these people don't mind poisoning you as long as they're making profits. I think it needs to be brave, and it needs to get out there and really start tackling some of the food issues that we've got.
Yeah.
Because, like when a burger's cheaper than a salad.
Fast food burger.
Fast food burger is cheaper than a salad by £2. Something's definitely wrong with food in society.
It's cheaper to produce it.
This is, and I think, like you say, we have to be brave enough to do that and get tough enough and say, it's like, there's nothing wrong with saying it's wrong for people to be, the amount of obesity we have, the amount of people that are overweight and stuff. It's I think we're very, very wary of suggesting such a thing in case it makes it seem like we're saying, it's people aren't welcome into nature if they're overweight, which of course is complete nonsense. But there's nothing wrong with us suggesting we have to look at the various levels of activity, fitness, health, and stuff within our society, and encourage it and say that naturism is somewhere where people can connect to all these different natural, nice, active, positive ways of looking at life. And I think that's definitely something we should also cover more as well within the I don't remember what it's exactly called, but there's a health and wellness one, isn't there, in October, something like that. We're also looking at food. We've got a day for food. I can't remember what month that is either as well. And which obviously we can talk about, the pleasure of cooking and stuff, but we should also maybe, revisit that, shouldn't we? The idea of the importance of eating and health.
I think
definitely part.
When you talk about food, really, you should miss the word weight, right? You shouldn't add weight to a food conversation, and you should talk about food health. Because with food health, then you create a natural balance in the human body, and if you are an overweight person or considered under the standards of society an overweight person, food health doesn't change that. People who change the way they eat and the way they do activities, that changes that. But what's good to keep weight balanced is also good to keep the organs happy. And that's where food health should focus. Get the organs healthy, everything else will fall into place. And I think I had so many conversations with people in BN, and I never got anywhere with it. And I've not understood why any national organisation isn't taking on the challenge of addressing food health better. Because I think naturists naturally want to be healthier.
Naturism as a whole is advertised to a degree as a healthy alternate lifestyle.
Wholesome lifestyle.
Well, if that's the case, then not advertised, there's a different word for it. The different elements of it, like you say, the food, the exercise, the activities, you don't even have to call it exercise, things like mental health, the benefits, and so you take all the different sections that we've covered today or in previous podcasts, and as a whole, that is your healthy lifestyle, but they don't advertise them.
Because, why do we do sport? We do sport to get healthy, don't we? They
do it because they're crazy.
Well, some people do it to be competitive, but most people do a sport to stay healthy, to stay in shape. I think that's a really weird word. What shape? Because we're not meant to be any one shape. It's ridiculous. But yeah, you know, it's there. That's why we do sport. Sport and health are linked automatically. You can't get away from it. And that's why I say we should use the word health, food health, you know, actively healthy. Those would be a better way of doing it. And I think naturism really should promote it more. I think
That was the word.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Don't point at me, you make me cough.
Not advertising.
Promote.
But it is, isn't it? It's when you look at things, what naturism has running all the way through it is this natural way of life, this more natural way of life. And when you look at all the unhealthy stuff, not just for ourselves, but also for the world, you know, what we're doing to the world,
like
in various
clothing,
ways, like mass production of clothing and that sort of thing. It's all unnatural stuff, isn't it? It's and I think that's something we you know, it's like this. We were reading about that the Spanish woman who just died at 117 or whatever, and she had a really healthy gut. That was what they put it down to, was the fact that her gut health was and she said she ate yogurts, 3 yogurts a day, loads of fruit and vegetables, never smoked, never drank, and stayed away from unpleasant people. You know, she stayed away from people. She stayed away from poisonous people.
What was it?
I can't remember exactly what she said, but it was basically just people that were unpleasant to be around. Stuff like that.
That was it.
I'm going to start to like this woman. I reckon I could hang out with her.
She's died now. She's died. Yeah.
But you know, it's and it is. I mean, and that's what naturism is all about, isn't it? All the way through. It's all about having a more natural way of life, and the nudity is just a part of that. It just being, and it affects you both physically, emotionally, mentally. It's just a, you know, it's a win-win situation, isn't it? Really, and so why isn't it being grabbed by everyone?
Yeah, I mean, it's, when you think about the leisure industry today, which is huge, you know, it's worth trillions. You've got all these people who are paying in gym subscriptions, and how many guys go and play, you know, football at the weekend, and
50% of people who 50% of people who take up those gym subscriptions don't use those gym subscriptions.
Yeah, it's because they feel bad about themselves. Now, can you imagine if they heard all the benefits of naturism, and you could get them to come into naturism, and they actually started to like themselves.
Yeah,
they'd probably use the gym subscription then. You know, I mean, I wouldn't want to go to a gym. I find them awful places.
They're not that bad if you use them late at night. I used to belong to a 24-hour gym, and we'd go about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night when no one was there.
I have my arm weights and stuff, and I have a set of pull bars that fit on the door frame. It's like a thick locks onto the door frame, and I pull myself up on that. And that keeps me healthy through the winter when I'm not out in the garden. But once I hit the garden, I mean, especially this year, because our bamboo's gone crazy.
It's horrendous out there.
And I don't know if you know anything about removing bamboo, but
oh gosh, we did in Spain. We ended up burning it, didn't we?
Yeah, you got to get those.
We couldn't
get the roots out.
Right up again.
A nightmare.
Well,
nightmare,
because we couldn't get out. We couldn't get out last year, and we weren't home much in 23. It's kind of got its own way, and it's gone crazy.
And it's broke out the garden.
It's broke out the garden, so we're going to have to take it under control. So we've got a bamboo fight this year. Now, if I don't come out of that looking like Jeff Capes, you know, because I mean that's going to take a lot of energy and a lot of strength.
I'm just going to be the foreman, tell you what to do.
Yeah, so that's going to be a real workout. That is. And again, you know, gardening, it's a great form of exercise. You know, it's not a sport, but it should be.
Which we'll be talking about next month.
I'm really looking forward to next month.
Isn't it? I mean, general gardening, it does get your heart rate up. So therefore you're doing a physical activity. So maybe it should be classed as sport. Whereas I suppose darts isn't really, or snooker.
They could have an Olympic event mowing a square mile of grass, and they've got to do it in a certain time. They've got to get it to a certain, perfection, down to a certain level, stripes and stuff. We've push mowers. Yeah.
I like
You
the
know
idea
what?
of lawnmower.
When we were in Spain, we had like the 7-acre olive grove, and you couldn't have a lawnmower or anything. And Steve said to me, "We'll get you a scythe. Then you can cut down the cactuses and the grass." And it's like 7 acres. Me.
You
With a
said
scythe.
you want to exercise more.
Yeah.
What a nightmare job.
Yeah.
Scythe isn't cutting grass. Scythe is for reaping souls.
I've got a scythe if you ever want to borrow it. I've got a hand scythe.
Why
It's
have
really
we got
hard
it? We've
work.
got fake grass.
It's really hard work with a hand scythe, but
Yeah.
because you've got to get the angle right as well. If you get it really sharp with the angle, it's not so bad. But God, can you imagine cutting 7 acres
We
with a scythe?
hate cutting grass. We hate it.
I won't grow grass. I hate it.
We hate cutting grass, so we got fake grass, and actually that is more labor intensive to look after because you've got to sweep it and then sweep it again and then brush it the right way so it all stands up correctly.
Water it.
But the fake grass,
Yeah.
water it.
Well, like you do,
wouldn't
with
England,
astroturf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's
the
plastic.
same, it's just in the garden.
Oh.
AstroTurf, they wash it before a match and stuff, don't they? So it's. I
A
think
little
so.
bit softer.
So the tire. It
Yeah.
has loads of chopped up tire in it, doesn't it? I think it's so. I think that's maybe to hold that down and make it just more. I don't know.
No, as is
Oh,
just
we don't.
plastic. So I mean,
We don't need to anyhow. We live in
throw water
Manchester.
on it and give it a good scrub to get all the tree sap off it. But basically, no, it's more labor intensive. We should have just grown grass and cut it.
No, I love it. It's. Do you know what? There's nothing more satisfying than because I do most of the cleaning of the grass, and I love it. I've got this big, thick, green bristled brush, and I go out there and I sweep my lawns, and if you sweep just like
Against the pile.
just like with a lawnmower, you can sweep one brush width one way and one brush width
Get
the
your
other way.
stripes.
And you get the stripes on it. It's fantastic. But it looks so amazing when it's
It looks
done.
really smart because it's
Yeah,
all of
and it's-
identical length.
We've
You
got
know,
we've got
yeah.
all the leaves to sweep up, haven't we? So we'll take lots of pictures, and then you can see the difference.
The difference is
We've just got
stark.
through winter, and we've just cleaned the grass. I'll take pictures of the process, and it's satisfying, and it looks so much better when it's done. But it's easier to grow and cut grass.
Just take a lot of maintenance. I remember when we did the Jubilee garden, and
Just trying to get the ground.
now the
flat,
grass in the
annoying.
Jubilee garden is quite long. It's about what,
Um,
half an inch.
I think it's
It's
28
like-
millimeter. Yeah.
You
I
put
think
your
it's
hand in
about
it.
an inch.
Your hand sinks into it.
No,
It's like a
20.
lush carpet, and it feels like grass. It's beautiful. It's really lush. Whereas the other area of the garden is
It's really very short.
it's more like a carpet, a very short carpet. So, but I'll never forget we put that Jubilee garden in. Because we bought it to fit the size of the place, and we rolled it out. And I think it was me and Wendy. We lay on it immediately. It was gorgeous. It was so comfortable. And when that's been swept, and crazy it is, we've got an old vacuum cleaner. I will vacuum it if I have to get the seeds out.
We do.
Oh, it's so nice to sit on. It's naked sitting on that. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, whereas the shorter pile is very prickly.
Well, I think if
I'm
we
going to replace
replace
that this year,
I think we'll put the longer pile on it.
because the short pile is just, the rolls that you can get from like B&M's or B&Q, and it's like, you get 250 quid, and it was like, that'll do for now, and that's it. The garden's done. We had a very small budget when we first started changing the garden, and now it's like, it's just down, so we just deal with it. But this year I'll upgrade that bit.
Oh, it's lovely. It's worth it. To be honest, for sunbathing naked on, it does get warm because it's plastic. But for sunbathing naked on, you can't. It's better than real grass. There's no doubt about it.
I think the grade we got was, it does heat up, but not to the point where it'll burn your skin, because some grasses do that.
Yeah, the top deck
This
does.
is a weird way.
Takes the soles of your feet off when it's really hot.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
But the Jubilee garden is lovely. It's cool when you walk on it. It's absolutely gorgeous. And that was a workout because
I kept
well,
saying to him, roll the grass back, that bit's bumpy over there.
we leveling that and getting up all, because there was years and years and years of carpet underlay on it, and old rugs, because that's how we kept the weeds down, and it all got buried under bark, and the bark had rotted. So getting that up, that was a workout. That was, if you did that as a sport, only top athletes would complete it. You really would. Pulling that up was a nightmare, wasn't it? We filled a skip.
Good for your abs.
Yeah.
We had an old rug, a big huge old rug that we wanted to get rid of, and we were doing the bottom half of the garden, weren't we? It was like we couldn't find the underlay, the weed screen stuff.
Yeah.
So I was like, just throw the rug under it, it's fine. Oh, trying to pull that up. It's like, I think I found the edge of the rug, and you get a piece about this big. It's like what, maybe 3 inches by 4.5 inches long, and it was terrible. And it's like, nope, I've not found the rug. And then when we did find it, it was nailed into the ground with nails that were about 12 inches long from where we'd built the swing on top of it.
The tree roots had gone through it as well. The tree roots were holding it.
Oh, it was a nightmare trying to get that up.
But that was great exercise. Gardening should definitely be a sport. Although I tell you what,
that's when we built Satan's Shack, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, it was after the Jubilee Garden.
Just after Satan's Shack.
I definitely do that. Sitting on lawnmower racing, that looks really awesome. Have you seen it? They do it in Kent, don't they? They actually have a weekend in Kent where they race lawnmowers. Oh, I want to get involved with that. Soup it up a bit, yeah. And at the end of the day, the course looks wonderful when they finish because it's all nice and low. I think there's
improvement.
I think there's a lot to be said for sport and health that we really could include more in naturism. Because we've talked, I don't know now, well over an hour, and I think we've brought up so much today. It's going to take a lot of listening to and editing when we put this together, because I make notes as we do it about what we've spoken about. I think it's going to be quite a long list. When you think about what naturism is capable of and what naturism is currently doing, I think there's loads of room to push the boat out more, isn't there? And try and encourage other naturists to get into it. Yeah. And maybe we should do some of our Google Meets. We should get this information out there, through AW and get it into the memberships. Because we've got people listening to the podcast. We've got people reading blogs, and it'd be nice to get more people on the Google Meets, wouldn't it? And get these debates pushing out of AW into all the local clubs. Because again, local clubs could do so much good for their communities. Instead of hiding behind the bushes, I think they could be out there promoting healthy ways of living, healthy food. Because the younger into health, they're more into health. Our children's age group, which is just under Gen Z, isn't it? Next one after that, they're more into health now and taking care of themselves than maybe the boomers or the Gen Xers or even the millennials. And I think that's a great way of appealing to future naturists.
Yeah, definitely.
I think there's a need for it.
It's for families, individuals, people just promoting that positivity, for a better way of life, for a healthier way of life.
Right, guys, I think we'll pull this to an end because we've got a lot of editing to do to get this out in the next 7 days. But thank you once again for joining us.
It was fun.
Yeah, pleasure.
Thank you.
It'll be great next month because we'll be talking gardening. Right, guys. Yeah, thank you really once again. You're great supporters of the podcast. We appreciate it, and we've actually come to the end of our list of guests, so we need new people. So if you're promoting, doing your newsletter and stuff like that, just let people know. We really do need more people to come forward.
Or you're just going to get podcasts and Rob arguing.
Yeah, we're going to be talking cabbages on the next podcast, aren't we?
No.
Bye, guys. We're going to end this recording, otherwise we'll never go. So, thanks a lot. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye,
guys.
Bye.
Once again, we had another wonderful conversation with Anna and Steve. it's always a treat to have them on. You know, we actually spend a very long time. It's a good few hours today, chatting away about, you know, life, the monthly themes, naturism, and a lot of other things that come up in the conversations, because, you know, like all conversations, sometimes they drift into slightly other topics, but the one thing you can guarantee is that they're always fascinating and they're always interesting conversations, and they're such a lovely couple to just sit and chill out with and just have a really long natter. So Anna, Steve, again, you know, we want to say a huge thanks to you for not only supporting the podcast, but being regular guests for our podcast specials.